Hello class, we meet again. Okay, so for this time, we are going to look at a new unit, which is Unit 5. And the title for this unit is A Place Called Home. Okay, so we will recap what we have learned in the previous lesson. Okay, in the previous lesson, we have gone through the reading skill. Okay, whereby we have done practice A and practice B. Okay, so before we go further, I would like to discuss the answers for practice A. Okay, so let's read the instruction again. What kind of problems can buildings have? Who fixes them? Match the problem 1 to 5 with the person in the section A to E. Okay, so I have done the first question for you that day. The bathroom light doesn't work. So who do we call? We will call an electrician. Okay. Number 2, there is water under the kitchen sink. So who is the person that we can call? Yes, we can call a plumber. Okay, remember class, the word plumber is not plumber. Okay, the B is silent. It is plumber. Okay. Number 3, a storm damaged the roof. Who do we call? Correct. A builder. A. Okay. And then number 4, the house is really dirty. We should call a cleaner. And number 5, the walls are a boring color. We should call a painter. Okay. So now let's go to practice B. Work with a partner. Okay. You have a problem in your home. Tell your partner what is the problem is. Your partner tells you who to call for help. So you can do this conversation by using this 5 occupation. Okay. By doing this, using this 5 occupation, let's say the living room ceiling is wet. You need a plumber. So let's say you want to say the house is really dirty. We should call a cleaner. Okay, for an example. So if you have done B, you can send your homework to me through our WhatsApp group, or you can personally message me the exercise. Okay, and then we will go to exam close up. Okay, so you need to read this advert, sorry, and then you should answer these 5 questions here. Look at each of the texts. What do they say? Choose the correct letter A, B, or C. Okay, so let's go to one by one. And if you have done this, I will share the answer with you later in our group. Okay, because I am going to discuss about a new skill today, and we will also talk about grammar. All right. Okay, so we have done this as well, the vocabulary for unit 5, and I will just go through practice A with you because I think this can be a quick one. So I have told you that picture number 1 is a castle. Number 2 is a tent. Number 3 is block of flats. Number 4 is terrace house. Number 5 is bungalow. Number 6, detached house. Number 7, cottage. And number 8, semi-detached. Okay. And then circle the odd ones out. We have done the first question. So bedroom, garden, and bathroom. Which one is not in the same category? Garden is not in the same category. Okay, number 2, we have lift. Third floor, ground floor. The answer is lift. Okay, number 3, we have toilet, sink, and fridge, which is not in the same category. Yes, correct, fridge. Number 4, ceiling, roof, and keys. Yes, correct as well, keys. Number 5, garage, sofa, and bed. So the answer should be garage. Okay, and then number 6, we have living room, kitchen, and wall. So, which is not in the same category? Yes, wall. Okay, now C. Choose the correct answers to complete the sentences. When we go camping, I'll rely on you to put up the tent. A. Number 2, my sister's going to move into a blank of flats in the West End. Block of flats. B, boy. Number 3, the great thing about a blank house is that you don't share any walls with anyone. Correct? Terraced. A, apple. You can see the castle on the cliff out of my bathroom window. B. When I get older, I'm going to buy a lovely blank with a stream in the garden. Cottage. Okay, cottage. A. Mom, you look tired. I'll tidy the blank for you. C. Living room. Dad, can you help? I can't open the blank door. So, garage door. B, boy. Number 8, your plumber did a great job. Your new blank looks lovely. So, sink. Okay, sink. C. Right, so that is the exercise, the previous exercise that I have gave to you, and I will need you to pause the video and check your answers. You can rewind the videos again. Okay, so now I will go to our grammar section and our listening tasks. Okay, I think this one, is it this one? Okay. All right, class. Okay, I'm back. Now let's go to our grammar item. Sorry. This is listening. Let's go to our grammar item. Okay. So, this is a short lesson. Okay, whereby I will describe to you what is future tense, and then I will need you to complete a set of practices, and I will add another practice to you in our WhatsApp group later. Okay, so the learning objective here is by the end of this lesson, you should be able to read the sentences aloud with minimal mistakes and identify 6 out of 8 sentences correctly with the correct form. Okay? Okay? So there's only 2 learning objectives for this lesson, which I think is simple, and I think you know what's the meaning of future. Okay, so before we go further, we will look at the word will and to be going to. So when you see the word will, you know that the action has not been done. Okay, Sebab itu kita guna perkataan future, masa hadapan. Okay, you know when we use the word will and we use the word be going to, it means that the things that we are going to do have not yet been done. So be careful. Remember, a future tense cannot be used with temporal such as when, after, until, the moment, and as soon as, even if the main clause contains a future tense. Instead, we use present tense. Okay, future tense is something that is not yet to be done, and we don't know whether we will do it or not. While present tense is the thing that you are doing. Awak sedang buat. Future, masa hadapan, awak belum buat. While present, masa sekarang, awak sedang buat. Okay, so look at practice A. This is the practice that you need to do. Read the sentences and look at the future form. Write affirmative, A for affirmative, N for negative, or Q for question. Okay, awak tahu negative itu benda yang tidak boleh lah, no. And then you know question adalah soalan, betul? And then you go to affirmative. Affirmative ini maksudnya confirm. Okay, it is confirm. Alright, so let's see. The architect, number one, the architect believes he will finish the new building next month. So adakah ini soalan? Is this a question? Is this a negative form of sentence? Or is this an affirmative sentence? This is an affirmative sentence because the architect, tells us that he is going to finish the new building next month. Confirm. Okay, so what I need you to do for question 2 until 7 is to write A for affirmative, N for negative, and Q for question or sentence number 2 to number 7. Okay, and then you look at B. Match the sentences in A with the uses of the future simple below. Okay, in practice B, what you need to do is, okay, you need to read sentence number 1 to number 7. Okay, and then you need to see and understand the word in bold. Yang dihitamkan itu, perkataan yang dihitamkan daripada ayat pertama hingga ayat ke-7. Okay, and then you see apa maksud ayat itu di dalam konteks. Contoh dia, to ask someone to do something. So, do, buat. So, which in A until G, which sentence in 1 until 7 that you think refer to A? Correct. Number 4. Do. Betul? Dia membuat. Okay? So, and then you go to this part. Be going to. Akan buat, akan melakukan. Contohlah. Read the sentences below. How can you make them negative? So negative, when you make a sentence negative, let's say I give you a sentence, I am going to eat today. How to make it negative? I am not going to eat today. Itu maksudnya ayat itu jadi negatif. So you look at this one. They are going to build a block of flats here next year. So how do you want to make it negative? They are not going to build a block of flats here next year. Okay? Now look at practice D. Now D and B is the same. Okay, D and B is the same. So you have to look at sentence 1 and sentence 2. Which one goes to A? Which one goes to B? Okay, future plans. Rancangan masa depan. prediction based on present evidence. Prediction maksudnya jangkaan yang berdasarkan bukti semasa. Okay, itu maksud ayat ini. Alright? Alright, so now I need you to do F and G. You don't have to do E first. We will do this together when we have our Google Meet. Now I need you to do F and G. Okay, F, complete the sentences with the correct form of will or going to and the verb in the bracket. Let's see. I finally decided what to put in the new living room. Really? What are you going to put in there? So you use the word, the verb here, and combine it with will or be going to. Okay? So, awak buat soalan 1 hingga 8. And for practice G, this is the practice where you need to create your own sentences. You need to build your own sentences. Okay? Alright, so that is our grammar lesson. Hello? So, we are back. And this time, we are going to go to our listening. Okay? And we have done our grammar. And now we will go to our listening part. Okay? So this is a short listening lesson. Okay? So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to label 4 out of 6 pictures correctly. Choose 3 out of 5 answers correctly for practice B. And choose 4 out of 6 answers correctly for the exam pass. Alright, so in this lesson, you will be hearing audio. Okay, so when you do this homework later, you can rewind this video and listen to the audio again. So this time, in this lesson, I will only play it once for you. And then you need to replay or rewind it when you do it at home. Okay? Okay, so for practice A, what you need to do is, I do not need you to draw the pictures, but I only need you to write down A, label the pictures with these words. Okay, write down the instruction. And then, number 1, what is your answer? Number 2, what is your answer? The answer is there for you. Now, you just need to choose the correct one. Okay? You do not need to draw the pictures. I repeat, jangan lukis. Tak perlu melukis, tapi awak tulis nombor 1, apa jawapan awak. Nombor 2, apa jawapan awak. Okay? Now, let's go to our listening. Alright? So, I will play the audio. And like I said, when you do your listening skills, you need to read the question before you listen to the audio. So when you have opened this video later, you pause the video and read the question for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay? I will play the audio for you once.
Listening, Unit 5, page 62b.
1. Many buildings came down, crushing and trapping people. 2. One technique is to reinforce concrete with steel. 3. Buildings made of light materials are less likely to come down in an earthquake. 4. Some bricks are cheap and walls made from them crack and collapse very easily. 5. Cheaper materials are better than nothing for poorer countries that can't afford anything else.
Okay, so that is the audio for practice B. When let me remind you, read the question for 2 to 3 minutes, then you listen to the audio. Now, when you do it at home, you can rewind the audio again and again, okay? But for if you want to really check your listening to see whether you can do well, you only listen to the audio twice, okay? This is another one. Read the text for 2 to 3 minutes and then you will go to the audio. Okay, so here's the audio for practice for the exam task practice.
Listening, Unit 5, page 62E.
You will hear some students interviewing engineer Robert Weston. For questions 1 to 6, choose the best answer, A, B or C. Now, as you know, we're doing a project on earthquakes and buildings, and we're lucky to have a visit today from Robert Weston, who's an engineer and an expert on this subject. He's here to tell us about the latest information on designing buildings and how we can protect buildings from these disasters. Please welcome Robert.
Thanks very much. I'm happy to answer any questions you have for your project. Well, as we all know, earthquakes can cause thousands of deaths. The one in Haiti in January 2010 killed over 200,000 people. But the reason so many people died is not the earthquake itself. It's the fact that many buildings collapsed, crushing and trapping people. What interests me and other engineers is how we can build houses in developing countries that don't collapse during strong earthquakes.
That's interesting. Now, has anyone got any questions? Put your hands up.
Yes. Can you tell us? Are there any regulations when you construct buildings in richer countries? I mean, to make the buildings safe from earthquakes?
Yes, there are. Modern concrete buildings are made stronger with steel, but this is expensive, so many poorer countries don't have the money for it. They just can't afford to pay for this. That's why engineers are looking at cheap solutions to protect buildings.
So what sort of things are engineers developing?
Well, one technique is to use more suitable building materials. Let's think about a country like Haiti. Roofs on houses are often made of heavy concrete, and this collapses easily if there is an earthquake. But engineers have discovered that metal roofs supported on wood are stronger.
What other kind of materials are best then?
We need to use materials that are as light as possible, because these are less likely to fall when the ground is shaking. In Pakistan, walls can be made from straw.
Straw? Really?
That's right. The straw is pressed into blocks, and then plastic netting holds the walls together. We put this on the inside of the wall. Of course, the outside of the wall is painted and looks completely normal.
Is it true that some brick walls aren't strong enough if there is an earthquake?
That depends. In Peru, they use a kind of brick which is locally produced and cheap to build walls. But these walls crack and collapse very easily. Again, plastic netting can hold these walls together better so that people can escape when there is an earthquake.
So, Robert, what other local materials do developing countries use?
Well, in India, engineers are using bamboo to make concrete stronger. And in Indonesia, they're trying to protect houses from underneath. They've put old tyres filled with sand under the building and then construct the house on top.
Sorry, but are these cheap and local materials really better in an earthquake?
Generally, yes. Some of them are not as effective as more expensive methods, but they're better than nothing at all, and something that poorer countries can afford.
So, finally, Robert, do you think these new ideas will help protect people in these countries?
Well, I hope so, but so far progress has been slow. Some of these new types of houses have been built, but sadly many millions of people are still in danger.
Well, let's hope that many more houses will be safer in the future. Robert, many thanks for coming to talk to us today.
My pleasure.
Okay, so that is the second audio. Now, before we end this video, I would like to read the question for you, just in case you are unable to understand some of the words. Okay, so you look at practice B number 1. Many buildings came down, crushing and trapping people. Okay, crushing crushing maksudnya dia menghempas, and trapping maksudnya dia memerangkap. Okay, one technique is to reinforce concrete with steel. Reinforce maksudnya menggunakan konkrit bersama dengan besi. Okay, reinforce menggunakan atau pakai. Buildings made of light materials are less likely to come down in an earthquake. Okay, I think that is pretty easy and pretty easy to understand. Some bricks are chips and walls made from them crack and collapse very easily. Crack, pecah, collapse, tumbang atau runtuh. Cheaper materials are better than nothing for poorer countries that can't afford anything else. Okay. Now, for exam task practice, number 1. Robert is interested in A. Recording the numbers of deaths in earthquakes. B. How to rescue people from collapsed buildings. And C. How to construct buildings that won't fall down. Number 2. Modern building methods. A. Don't use steel or concrete. B. Offer cheap solutions. And C. Are too expensive for poor countries. Number 3. Roofs are stronger when they're made from A. Concrete, B. Metal, or C. Straw. Number 4. Plastic netting is used to A. Hold roofs in place, hold walls in together, and C. Protect houses from underneath. And then number 5. What are engineers testing in Indonesia? A. How to build with bamboo instead of metal. B. How to protect houses from below the structure. And C. How to construct walls with sand. And last question. Robert thinks that using cheap or local materials, A. is completely useless. B. is better than using expensive materials. Or C. may not produce the best result. Alright, class. So we will end our listening lesson, and I will see you in our Google Meet next time. Thank you and goodbye.